Welcome to Your Spiritual Besties podcast. I'm Lauren Leduc.
And I'm Rashida McCoy. We're here to laugh, cry, learn, and connect with you.
We discuss anything and everything from our everyday lives to the magical, mystical, and woo-woo.
So take a deep breath, grab a cup of tea,
and set an intention to receive, because you deserve it, bestie. Hi, Rashida.
Hey, Lauren. How's it going?
It's going fine. We were just having a really fun conversation off air with our guest about all the energies that are going on right now and maybe feeling a sense of ungroundedness. But we just took our time to ground and I already feel a lot better, I think.
Yeah, I was not up to speed on what's been happening with you this weekend, but I am a little shocked by what's been going on for you. So I'm glad you're here and we're ready to go. And we have a guest today, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, I don't want to leave our listeners hanging, our besties hanging, so I will share the story real quick. Even though the both of you,
they want to know.
They gotta know, even though the both of you just heard it. But so this weekend I was making cookies with Gemma, and long story short, although it's not actually a very long story because it all happened very fast, my hair got caught in our stand mixer and it almost got ripped out. I got a minor head injury from it. I pulled the plug just in time. But yeah, I'm left feeling a little shook, to be honest. And I sliced my finger on the mandolin last night, but that's a much more common injury to happen. And yeah, I've been spending more time like just creating for fun this year at night when she goes to bed. And I've been drawing mandalas every night, and I drew one with like stand mixer and a skull and crossbones. to process the situation, and like wrote a poem about like how I don't trust machines. And anyway, it was all very like emo and dramatic, but in the best way. So
I gotta see this, Lauren. I've
okay.
gotta see the stand mixer and skull and crossbones.
I'll send it. I'll send it to you. I sent it to Arthur, my husband, at work. He was cracking up. He was like, "What is that?" And then he zoomed in. He was like, "Oh my God, it's the KitchenAid." Um, but crazy. Anyway, I'm gonna just do like a really quick shift of gears.
Let's just swap. Let's just do a hard swap. Let's take a right turn.
Yes. And I'm so excited to chat with our guest today, Alexandra Shelly. I'm going to just take a moment to tell you all about her and then bring her on. So Alexandra is the modern medium, and she is obsessed with guiding you to magic and wisdom. With her bubbly and dynamic energy, she creates a joyful space while honoring fundamental and ethical practices learned from world-renowned mediums and her mentor. Alexandra taps into her immense creativity and reverence for spirit to create practices and experiences that teach you how to connect with your spirit guides, loved ones, past lives, and your unique spiritual gifts. She's also the host of the podcast Embody Your Soul, where she interviews experts, practitioners, and creative leaders on how we can begin to connect back with body and soul. And if you listen to her podcast, you might hear me and Rashida on it sometime soon. So I definitely recommend that extra reason for listening. And welcome, Alexandra. We're so happy to have you.
Welcome.
Yeah, ladies, already a silly start.
Always. We're so happy to have you. So we ask everyone the same question to start. And again, switching gears, we're going to just go real deep right off the bat. What is spirituality? That's how we do it around here. What is spirituality to you?
Spirituality is connecting with the truest, like our innate true essence. And so I've recently become Reiki Master certified, and that has completely flipped my practice over in a way that I did not expect, but the most beautiful way. And we are all made up of this great bright light. We're all made up of this light. And this book I read that also really solidified what I believe to be spirituality and Reiki principles is the author described us as this great bright light, and over time we're covered with lampshades. And it's not that our light has been dimmed, it's just we have been simply covered. And spirituality, I believe, is simply removing the lampshades the best we can to bring awareness to our great bright light and how we are all made up of this great bright light. And I can go on and on about it, but I would say that we're just all made up of this beautiful universal life force, and how intuition and spiritual gifts and being psychic and also just magic is not exclusive to anyone.
I love that. Rashida and I talk a lot about, just spirituality being innate to everyone. It's not something that you like find or discover. It's something that you excavate, and find within yourself. And it takes a lot of like deprogramming to find it at times.
Mm, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the hardest part of the spiritual journey, is that removing the lampshades, or that deprogramming. And it's the most hard, it's the most uncomfortable. And a lot of times, a lot of us keep those shades on because we just don't know who we are without them.
Amen.
That's so true. Well, we'd love to just go into your journey. How did you get into what you're doing now?
Okay, ladies, buckle up. So I didn't know until about 2 or 3 years ago that my very first experience with spirit was when I was 4. So I'll describe that. My parents are from New Zealand, and we were at my maternal grandfather's lake house, Lake Tarawera, and they had this lovely little caravan where I'm one of 4 siblings. So us little rugrats like couldn't all fit in their lovely lake home, so the kids slept in the caravan. And it was a hot summer, and I just wanted to take a break in the caravan to take a nap. And for many years, the only way I was able to describe this is suddenly I'm already a small person, and me at 4, I'm like a pinky. And so I'm laying in bed and I feel this enormous weight all over my body. And it wasn't scary, it was just shocking. And this caravan filled up with brilliant gold light. And I remember these like 3, 4 fuzzy figures standing before me, and I felt so comforted, so warm, and just really in awe. And I remember my grandfather being like, "Oh, we were looking for you." And I stood up, and I swear, have you guys seen, I feel like everyone's seen it. It's like the Vine where it's like 2 shots of vodka and it's like poo, 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 like the guy like falling down the stairs side to side. Like that was me. I was like, whoa, like, because I was just so, just getting up after that. But then now, when I met my mentor a few years ago, and I described to her that we were dropping into meditation together, and I was like, "Melissa, I'm feeling this sensation that I felt when I was 4. What's happening?" She's like, "That was your very first experience with spirit, at least like what you can remember." And now the way I describe it and the way I can really understand is it was like my cells were expanding with light, and I was actually witnessing the enormity of my soul. That our souls are not in our body. Our body is simply a thread of the enormity of our soul. And so that's what I was experiencing. And then my ancestors, my guides, were just before me. So anyways, that was wild. And I had experiences growing up, but I would say the way I moved through difficulty and pain in my life was ignorance is bliss. I'm like, what's that? Like, oh, like I really was able to successfully, of course, it's not sustainable, but I was successfully able to create a world where it was light and fluffy and I didn't get attached to pain. And when I had these weird experiences with spirit, or kind of like they felt, demonic at times, or paranormal, I really just forgot about them. I really kind of shut it out. And I also just didn't have the vocabulary for it. I just didn't know. But then in 2018, my maternal grandmother died, and it was in October. The timing is, you guys will see, the timing is pretty great. So within days of her death, starting like Monday at midnight, I am going to bed and I'm like, oh my gosh, where is my roommate Levi? And then I hear him come home. I'm like, great, I can go to bed, warm, cozy. I wake up, he didn't come home. It sounded like someone came home. Up the stairs, lights on, door shut, blah, blah, blah. And like, and my first thought was like, that's my grandma. And I was like, no way. Like, no, why would that happen? Why me? Like, that doesn't happen to me. And then the rest of the week, I was experiencing all of these crazy experiences. I felt a weight against the left side of my body. And I'm sure, as you ladies know, left side is the feminine, right side is the masculine. And I was like, what is this? It just felt like someone was laying on top of me, laying next to me. I heard my name being called out. And I'm like, no one's home. I don't have a TV in my room. Windows are shut. But it was in that state where usually spirit catches us, where it's like we're about to fall asleep. So our brain waves are really, they're open to this experience. And so anyways, I had all of these experiences all week, and I was definitely spooked. And here comes Halloween. So I'm like, oh my God, it's Halloween. Something crazy is gonna happen. So I think I literally slept at my mom's house, and I came back the next day, November 1st, the last day of, the pagan holiday. I always mispronounce the name, but it's this, that
Samhain.
holiday. Samhain. Oh my gosh, there you go. I want to say Samhain. Wrong. It's just wrong. So Samhain, thank you. And so that morning, I go to the gym, like we do, a person. I get back home, I take a shower, and in the condensation of the bathroom mirror, there is writing, and it says, "This was with my soul." And that's when I flipped my lid. The writing was thin, it was beautiful, and it was round and feminine like my grandmother's, and there was a heart next to it, and I just knew it. I'm like, this is my grandma. And it was funny because still I texted my roommate Levi, like, Levi, did you write this? He's like, why would I write that? And I'm like, I know. And so then I go to my internship, and me at my little cubicle, I'm like, how to talk to a spirit? I don't know. And thank God, thank spirit, I came across this article that was perfect. So in line with my values. They were like, write a letter and acknowledge their presence, be grateful, but also ask them, set boundaries. Ask them to visit you at a certain hour of the day, ask them to visit you in a certain way, which I loved. So I messaged my mom, and I remember it was a Thursday, not that even that day's important, but I was like, it's Thursday. And so I texted my mom. I'm like, Mom, can you come over, and I'm going to do this thing. And she's like, all right. So she comes over, and it's, evening, and I read this letter out loud, and I experience all the feels. It feels like sub below zero in the room. My head feels like a magnet is pulling it. My space around me, it looked like heat waves, like heat vision or whatever. My ears were popping and ringing. And as I was reading this letter to my grandmother, and I turned to my mom, and I'm asking her if she felt anything, and she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, something's wrong with me. I'm crazy. What is wrong with me? And thank God, a month later, I was connected to my mentor, Melissa Wallace. And it was just, the connection was crazy. But anyways, she was based in Orange County, where I was also based at the time. And I go to her, and pretty much the very first day, she's like, I have to teach you everything starting today, like right now. I'm like, all right, sounds good. And so for about 4 years, she mentored me, and, really taught me so much of like what I know, and the ethics and meditations and, spirit guides, everything. And then in 2021, she's like, all right, go do your thing. And go take courses from these mediums. And this is just really guiding me to the people I needed to meet and learn from. And so it was really just a part of my life. And there was so much deep healing, and It was wild. Everything I went through, spiritual awakening to, health flare-ups and really being connected in my body, surrendering to source. And my previous career, I was a copywriter for ad agencies, and my career was going pretty well. I'm like, I'm about to be a badass copywriter. My first salary job, I was a copywriter for the Los Angeles Times. I'm like, I'm killing it. I'm gonna this is gonna be my career. And then of course I'm getting deeper into my mediumship, and spirit's like, listen, lady. And I'm like, no, come on, I'm making good money and it's steady, and my parents don't think I'm a lunatic. Like, oh, come on. And eventually in 2021, it was funny because I manifested a brand new job, higher salary. I'm like, I'm just gonna make some money and do this on the side, save some money, build my business, bada boom. Long story short, I was seeing all the signs, all massive signs, like spirit set me down to the beach. I saw a massive rainbow. I was seeing rainbows up the butt everywhere. And I knew I had to go. And I literally was 2 months into this job, and then I get fired. I'm like, all right, fine. And so, yeah, I was March 2022 is when I began my journey with spirit, really as a full-blown embodied psychic medium. And I can't imagine me doing anything else. It's been the most beautiful experience, most fulfilling experience of my life. And even being in this apartment, it's truly, this apartment is everything I prayed for. I was in a studio for 2.5 years building my business, and now I have space for all my desires and my dreams and seeing clients in person. And yeah, it's just magic. So yes, thank you for listening.
Yes. I mean, I think a lot of our stories are all of these when you look back at it, just the timing of things, how things are coming into your field, whether we're willing to accept it or not, if we are pushing against the grain, and then universe finally says, I'm not going to give you an option anymore. I gave you options, but I'm not going to give you an option anymore. We need to get you on your path. So I have a question for you as a psychic medium. If there's someone who is coming kind of into their power, so to speak, and they're starting to get these little glimpses, what do you recommend they do?
Oh my gosh, wonderful question. And I have a few answers for that. So I would say pay attention to how these glimpses come to you. Is it a vision? Is it a physical feeling? Is it a knowing? Is it a smell? Is it a taste? That way you can actually know how your intuition speaks to you, aka what your clairs are. Your clairs come to you, I would say, the ones that are, you can develop and connect with all of your clairs. It is a very old philosophy that you have 1 or 2 really strong clairs. No, we can have all of them. It's literally the body. Our body is the vessel. So it's just being open to feeling them and really connecting deeply with your body. So pay attention to how your intuition speaks to you. That is major. And at least just latch on to those 1 or 2 that speak to you. Then simply start the conversation, whether it's out loud, in your journal, in meditation. Hey, so what does that mean? Hey, spirit guides, what's going on? I'm receiving these messages. Let's chat. I think simply beginning the conversation, and something I also love to teach clients, is if the abstract concept of a spirit guide is intimidating for you, or it's so sweet, clients are like, oh God, I feel stupid or silly. They're already judging me. It's like, sister friend. The soul cannot carry the weight of the ego. We carry the weight of the ego, which is the representation of our physical body. So therefore, your guides literally cannot judge you. They cannot ostracize you. They are here for you 24/7, unconditional, unbridled love. But if you still feel nervous and shy, literally picture you talking to your best friend or a mentor or someone where you feel so yourself, so open and authentic with. So simply start the conversation. Hey guys, what does that mean? And really begin to build awareness. And that kind of begins with like the third step. It's funny because I'm in a really interesting stage with my practice. Well, you know what? You know what? When you're beginning, you have to begin meditating. Right now, I actually don't meditate as much as I used to. And I guess meditate is just different for anyone. But I would say when you're first starting out, really get devoted, get disciplined, and set a time every day and sit with your intuition and sit with spirit and really feel in your body, open yourself up to the awareness. And little by little, you're going to begin to open up to the awareness and just be aware of something's interrupting my thought pattern. That isn't me. This feeling is greater than, this is not, my anxiety. This is love. So one, being aware of how your intuition speaks to you, therefore it can open up your clairs. Two, simply beginning the conversation, whether it's within yourself or with your spirit guides, your team, simply beginning the conversation, no matter what responds to you, you're going to get a response. And three, creating a routine ritual every day that brings you into your body, opening up to the awareness of spirit and your intuition.
I think that's really helpful and important. We live in a world that's just super distracting. There's so many things to focus on. So even just being able to like sit and hold focus is a huge, huge skill. And that does take practice every day. And it can take form in so many different ways. So I appreciate you saying that. I'd love to like get really basic for our besties. What exactly are spirit guides and what form do they take?
Oh my gosh. Well, fabulous question, because you know me, I love spirit guides. So spirit guides are these beautiful, benevolent soul beings that are here to guide you. They're here to assist you on our soul journey as a human. And spirit guides can take shape in so many forms, and they can come as so many different types of souls. One of my spirit guides, of course, is my beautiful Hungarian Jew grandmother, who was the one that passed away and is super spicy, super forward, is the one that really launched me into my spiritual awakening. And they can also be ascended masters, they can be angels, they can be, our lovers from past lives, they can be galactic beings. Really, these guides are so many things. I would say they are reflections and conceptions of our soul. They all mirror back who we are on a soul level, but also they resonate in some way with our soul mission. They're obviously not random, like, oh, I just picked Grandpa Joe for funsies. No, God, source, universe has these specific guides in your life so you can learn specific skills, specific lessons, and open up to specific pieces of your soul. And also your guides, some stay in, some also rotate depending on where you're at in your life, simply based on decisions, simply based on a path or a timeline, simply based on the people you're around, like your mentors, your teachers. Guides also can come in for just a hot second. Some guides also don't need to be known. There are inner guides and outer guides. The outer guides are happy to not even be acknowledged. They're here. They're kind of, it's like, Santa's elves. They're just in the assembly line, helping the magic happen. Some absolutely need to be known, like your master guide. Your master guide is the North Star. I kind of like to look at the master guide, has kind of the master list. He's like, all right, so you're here, you're here, you're here, and brings the guides in for you. I love to always look to my master guide with like, all right, who's here? Who do I need to speak to right now? Your master guide also is the one that's really in charge of who comes in, who comes out. And yes, so I'm trying to think of anything else that I'm missing. I feel like that's at least like what I can put for now. Spirit guides can also come in the form of animals, of course, shapeshifters. Spirit guides can also come in the form of just kind of, split-second human beings. I've heard of beautiful stories. There's actually a beautiful practitioner. Her name's Deanna Reddick, and she told me this beautiful story of her spiritual awakening where this random guy and his name tag was like flipped, so like you couldn't really read his name, and it was for a split second where he kind of told her this message. And I'm like, that was honestly like an earth angel spirit guide for a hot second, because you needed that. You needed someone to come to you that wasn't like an everyday human. So I'm trying to think. Yeah, I would say that for now, that's a good description. How does that sound?
Yeah, no, that sounds good. That's a lot. So I always like to come from the stance of someone, newly stepping into this space. And if someone wanted to, really like understand, for instance, you said, animals can come in the shape of a spirit guide. What would someone need to look out for if, a particular animal is trying to like speak with them and communicate and support them?
So, okay, I'll say a couple things. If a spirit guide is coming to you in the form of an animal, I mean, so, and two things with that. So number one, if you are receiving messages like physically, like say a butterfly, what are the animals that you keep seeing? What are the animals that you keep seeing on posters or physically, or you hear their name? Oh my God, why do I keep seeing turtles everywhere?
Mhm.
Why do I connect so deeply with tigers? Tap into that, sit into that energy, and that can tell you so much. I would also say, this is even just goes in general for spirit guides, is when you tap into spirit and you want to understand who your spirit guide is, what do you feel when they come into your energy? Do you feel this protector strength? Do you feel this angelic celestial light? Do you feel this motherly divine feminine nurturing presence? Do you feel this beautiful loving masculine essence? Do you feel this like really revered wise old energy? And even that energy can at least let you know, okay, they're a protector guide, and they have a beautiful long tail. So really just first, I would say first things first, like tap into what does this energy feel like, because that could at least give you an essence, and like just get comfortable with like, oh, like this feeling is familiar. I feel this feeling a lot, that someone is watching over me and they're protecting me. And yeah, and then again with animals, like what animals, like what do you keep seeing? Like, what do you even feel connected to? And so like there's a lot of ways you can go with this. A beautiful practitioner, and I'd like to kind of, call him a friend, colleague of mine, Dr. Stephen Farmer. He is really, one of his main things is spirit animals. So, he likes to say it's sometimes tap into the totem of the Black Panther. What does that bring for you when you are, say, like walking into a situation where like you want to feel really confident and bold, and you want to speak your truth, or do you want to feel really soft? Do you want to feel like the butterfly, the lightness, the essence, the levity? So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think it's really interesting how these things come into our field, and I like what you said of just like really tapping to the energy, because I notice sometimes when we see certain animals, we're just trying to like understand the meaning behind, like what does it mean, right? And I think we lose the message and the point. Like for example, this past, like before winter started, like around end of fall, beginning of winter here, I kept seeing this hawk. I don't know, Lauren, I'm not sure if I told you. I feel like I told you, but it was this hawk in the same spot every single day. And it almost like it was looking at me. And I'm like, okay, this is so weird. This hawk is in the same
Like,
spot every single day over and over again. And I'm like, what does this mean for me? And at first I was like, if you look up, the hawk, there are so many different things that it could mean spiritually. So I was getting lost in that. And finally I was like, you know what? What is this message? Like, obviously I am seeing this hawk for a reason every single day. And I mean, I'm talking like weeks. And I'm like, he has no nest. There's no home here. He's on a phone line. Like, there's no way this is like his place, right? And so I was having a lot of thoughts about where I was gonna go and what I was gonna do. And I was like, oh, clarity. He's reminding me to gain some clarity around my vision. And I really need to focus on that. That needs to be my focus, not so much what he means, what he's representing in my life, but more of, okay, he's trying to remind. And as soon as I got that, he was gone. Like, he didn't show up anymore. And I'm like, huh, interesting. And I don't usually work with a lot of spirit animals, and I always find it fascinating though. But I'll see, I live out in the country, I see animals all the time. And sometimes I probably take that for granted, but that was like a blatant sign to me, like, hey, listen up, and then don't get lost in like what it's supposed to mean, but actually sit in like what it's feeling like for you. What is this message for you? So yeah, I completely agree with you, Alexandra.
I am screaming and hollering on the inside. Absolutely 110% yes. That is something I deeply, deeply resonate with, and something I am screaming to clients to follow, like to everyone. It's so, so important. And even this wonderful psychic medium I follow, I don't know if you guys follow her. Her handle is Miraculously Melissa. And she posted a reel the other day that she was like, I think technology is taking away the ability to really connect with our inner knowing. We are so fast to Google. I mean, I even catch myself, I'm like, oh my God, I saw a pre-mantis. I'm like, no, what is this pre-mantis telling me?
Mm.
Ding dong, like, come on. Not that we're ding dongs. And also, technology is fabulous and amazing. Like, we're doing this right now, but seriously, use this inner knowing to really understand spirit. Spirit, yes, loves technology for like some reasons. And yes, there is like divine technology that we aren't even aware of. But yes, tapping into the energy in your inner knowing, it's your soul eye. It sees all that you are meant to see. So yes, sorry, that was just like a dovetail, like, just kind of commentary.
That's funny. I think Googling or technology is a good way to, when you're awakening to this stuff, to be like, am I crazy? And then you can at least see
Mm.
that there are a lot of other people out there who have had the same or similar experiences so that you know
Oh
that you're
yeah, for
not.
sure.
I was, when you were talking about it, I was thinking about being like a new mom, because it is really tempting to Google absolutely every little thing your baby does, and there are 1,000 opinions out there. It can
Hmm.
really normalize your experience. And I know I have had this experience, Rashida's had this experience. At a certain point, you just want to like turn it all off and be like, I'm going to listen to my intuition and my body, because it was made for this. And I'm going to trust that I was made to like keep this thing alive and let them thrive. So I honestly see intuition in a really similar way of like, it's there for us to interpret. It's there for it's our own inner compass. We don't really need a lot of confirmation from the outside. Now, the confirmation is great when it comes from other people rather than just technology, right? So, sorry, my daughter wants me to hang her upside down like a
Oh,
bat.
sweet.
So Rashida and I did a really great intuition school last year, and it was really, really fun to get together with our fellow coven or our cohort, and get the outside confirmation. It really
Hmm.
strengthens that self of like inner trust. So it's really interesting. I don't know what my point is exactly, other than I'm just talking and hanging my daughter upside down right now. But I do find, we have to find that balance between inner knowing and outer confirmation, right? And I'm sure
That
as a medium, I would think, 'cause we do intuitive work, but not mediumship work. I would think as a medium, It definitely feels good when you have a client who's like, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yes, that's what my grandpa said, or, whatever that might be. And there are going to be other times too where they don't know what you're talking about because haven't been privy to that information yet. So you have to trust
Mhm.
yourself enough, in this role to be okay with that. Yeah.
500%. I've totally had those moments where they're like, ah. And I remember I think I like did a post, like a podcast about it. So one of the things I realized, which happened so many times, and then I just decided I can cuss on here, right? I know people say that with my podcast. It's so funny. I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna say everything. There's been times where I used to slightly edit what I said because I'm like, oh, it doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to make sense to me. It's supposed to make sense to them. It's for them. And I'm also
Mhm.
not supposed to remember what I'm saying. It's for them.
Yeah.
So there's been times every 110% of the time when I was like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't like I withheld it wasn't anything major, just like little information. Let's say like it was like the detail of picture frames in the room or blah, blah, blah. Then they would mention it. I'm like, damn it, I should have said that. And also something it was really, really beautiful kind of information to learn. I recently took a course with the beautiful, the incredible Tony Stockwell. I love him so much. And he was so brilliant with kind of guiding us when it comes to when clients, or even like when we were in breakout rooms together practicing. And he's like, the word no is so it kind of cuts through the energy of the reading. Like, don't say no, but really it could be one news to them. News to them. Oh, maybe they need to talk about it with someone. Maybe they need to sit with it. Maybe they need to like do a little digging, like in their room, in their home, in their photos, maybe in their phone, something. Also, we could also be, the only error comes from ego. The only error comes from the human. So it's either us or it's the client. Not that it's like pointing fingers, but spirit isn't going to lie. And also it could be on us where, say, maybe we're not like, our awareness isn't open enough yet. I wouldn't say, I've kind of started to say spirit's right here. We don't have to, spirit doesn't need to come closer. It's us. It's us that needs to open up. So say, it's me. I'm like, you know what? My monkey mind's coming in. I just need to tap in. Breathe. Can you say that one more time? Can you say it in a different way? So it's really on us to have the patience and the wherewithal to ask more questions, ask it a different way, and even just say it and not be so scared. Of course, it's so easy to get like really, really nervous. Like purple rhino? That makes no sense. And again, like it's not about making sense to us, it's about making sense to them. It's going to make sense to them in some way. And then even again, like with kind of going back to how to step into your intuition, build practice, it's really those basic things of building that routine with yourself where you can begin to open yourself up to what is the voice, the feeling, the essence of spirit, and what is my human stepping in. And what is repeating itself over and over again, where I know this is on a soul to soul communication. This isn't ego to ego communication. I think that's what's been really helpful for me too, because as someone who, has really devoted themselves to developing all the clairs, sometimes in a reading, you're going to feel anxiety. And it's like, oh, this is actually, oh, the feeling of anxiety when they felt XYZ was happening. Does this resonate? And also what's really important is it's like, it's a, I almost said three-way. It's a conversation between us all, between us and spirit. And it's also really important. I love bringing the client in the experience with me. There's some mediums that just go right in and they're like, all right, blah, blah, blah. But I like to, what I love what you guys did. I bring my client along for the journey, which I guess is a little shamanic, but I like dropping us into meditation, opening up our energy, connecting and invoking our guides. So like they really feel into that. And then I also say this invocation, which I learned from another beautiful, beautiful teacher, which is to surrender out of the human story. And we're going to step into and embody the soul story. So then they actually have claimed and called in the awareness that we're communicating soul to soul right now. I'm not in my human. I'm going to be soul to soul with Alexandra and with spirit. I kind of went off tangent a little bit, but I trust that what came out was meant to come out.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. And I know for me, in my readings, a couple of them have happened on this podcast because we do readings with clients on the podcast, chakra readings. But I think it's the times where I've had visions that I like can't really interpret. So I just tell them what I see that have sometimes been the most powerful. Like we had somebody on here a couple months ago and I was looking at her solar plexus and I'm like, I don't know. I see a bear in a cave. Does that mean anything to you? Because I was like, I don't know. And she's like, yeah, you led me through a spirit guide meditation 3 days ago and I saw a bear and I was wondering if you were going to see it today. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. I had no idea. I just saw this bear and thought maybe you would have some clue as to what that means. So it's good to not self-censor when we're doing this work, even when it seems really out there, because you just never know how it's going to resonate with somebody. Because I think the fear is you're like, I see a bear in a cave, and they're just like, cool, okay.
What does that mean?
Yeah, but also that being said, that doesn't mean that later it won't make sense for them in some way or that they'll see a bear somewhere. So it just takes this intense amount of stress that, or not stress, of trust that yes, you have to get out of the ego and into the soul to really be in that space with people. And I like that you pull people in with you because then they're part of the experience. And I think so much of this work as intuitives isn't just like, okay, and I'm the intuitive and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to do this work for you. It's a collaborative experience. And like you said, everyone has access to this magic. Everyone has access to intuition. So I think holding people's hand into that is really, it's a very generous way to do this work. And I
Yes,
appreciate it.
absolutely. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's so deeply fulfilling. And another kind of thing that Tony said, it was actually interesting. One session, we all did like psychic readings on each other. And really, as I'm sure you guys know, there are very unethical practitioners out there. And one of the things I really, really devote myself to is being a deeply ethical psychic medium. And something that he was saying is being a psychic is not about just predicting the future. Being a psychic is holding someone's hand soul to soul and negotiating, how can we walk this life? How can we move through this human experience? What is coming up? And yeah, just really how can we navigate it? And I loved that. It put it so gently and so in such a grounded way because yeah, I think that's one thing one of the reasons why like I've turned down clients and also one of the reasons why I price myself a certain way because I'm not just accepting anything. I'm not gonna do what you want. I'm not gonna tell you what you want. I am a divine conduit for spirit and for the highest good. And that does not mean predicting who you're gonna meet on July 21st. Like it's about moving through this beautiful human experience and how we can navigate timelines and our soul and contracts and lessons in our environment. So yeah, I just wanted to add that in there as well.
Yeah, I think there's a common misconception sometimes about what we can do as intuitives and, what media or TV says that we can do. And I know for me, like timeline work has been kind of hard on my end. I don't particularly resonate with it too much. I have a hard time pulling far enough away to kind of like see, the calendar or the year or whatever the case may be. So I don't steer too far into timeline work, but it goes back to, again, what we were talking about before, not working so hard to get the answer, because the answer in which we are desiring or wanting or needing really will just come to us. I feel like sometimes we take a very masculine approach to this work, and where we do need some of that energy in this work. It's not very masculine at all. And I feel like the more we push and try really hard, the more we'll lose it. I know, and I'm just speaking from my experience. I remember, Lauren, I don't know if you remember in school, we had at the end, we had to like do this reading, and I want to say I did yours. And I want to say this reading took me like 30 minutes to do. And I was like trying to pull these things through. And I realized I was working so hard and I was getting so drained because I was trying too hard instead of allowing. Like, spirit was just like, girl, like, relax. Like, it's gonna it's gonna come. Like, you just gotta relax. So I think we have to, like, one, look at the common misconception of this work. It's not so much predicting like who we're gonna be. And maybe some people do that. And I'm just gonna put it out there, do not have the capacity to be like, you're gonna meet the man of your dreams on whatever date. Or, I might be like, be aware when the month of April comes around. Something, for some odd reason, April is calling to me. I don't know what that means. And I always say it. I always say, I don't know what this means. I think this is for you to interpret. But just become a little more aware, a little more present when April rolls around. But yeah, getting rid of that misconception that we are gonna like tell you exactly what's going on, but also like easing into it, becoming softer in your intuitive work. And like the both of you said, we all have access to this part of ourselves, and it's not something that we have to necessarily do as in push, but it's just opening like that part of ourselves that has just been offline, to us. Like, it's always online, but we just have to like make that connection and plug back into it.
I love what you said. I totally resonate. And even okay, so two things. One, to even dovetail off that, April. And what's so interesting is April for them could also mean different things, like the energy of April. Like, what, like the spring energy, or like, what is it about April? What's the significant, like, it's just so interesting. I think a lot of clients, I've had clients be so like kind of upset at me because I'm not specific enough. And I'm like, it's not meant to be like detail oriented specific. It's up to, like, I can only tell you so much because this is what's meant for you. And also, spirit isn't here again to give you all the answers. And I even wanted to add something, like probably one of the most powerful messages I channeled from my master guide, Ishmael, was answers will distract you. And that really sat me on my butt because I, of course, as a second medium, like, I'm gonna know everything in the beginning. And I was like, I don't know anything. I know us. And it's so beautiful because I know, at least for me, it's so, so true. The answers would distract me. It would distract me from the present. It would distract me from the mission. It would distract me from, the journey of it all, the beauty of it all, the twists and the turns and the victories and the lessons. So yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I really.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
No. I was like going off on a different tangent, so please go ahead, Rashida.
No, let's switch, because I feel like we could stay here all day, actually.
Yeah, I wanted before we wrap up, to go deeper into like mediumship and connecting with loved ones who've passed, and what that process looks like, and who's like your ideal client, like who can benefit the most from this service.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, wonderful question. Oh God. I love, and it's interesting. I love serving clients who feel very lost, who feel like, I don't know who I am. I feel disconnected from my intuition, my body. I feel frazzled. I'm, they don't feel like the zest and the juice in life. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm so obsessed with like the work I do, because it's not necessarily, yes, of course, that's also something I love to do. I love illuminating the bridge between us and our loved ones. It's so powerful. And like, what a what a beautiful space for these people to trust me, to trust us in this process, because so many of like grief and resentment, and people want closure, people want hope, people just want to make sure that they're okay, that they're doing the right thing. I love serving people in that way. But what I also love helping people recognize is connecting with loved ones and connecting with spirit guides isn't just about that. We can tap into this beautiful, unbridled, unlimited source of love and guidance and wisdom to help us, to assist us along our journey. Our loved ones aren't just here to, of course, they're here to hang out with us, to vibe. My grandma's here, or whatever, my guides are here, no doubt, just hanging out with me for the funsies of it, for the energy. But they are also like, we're here to help guide you. We're here to help you navigate this human existence. So that's what I love doing. People who just are looking for guidance on their spiritual path and navigating their life. And then also helping them recognize, how can they tap into their spiritual gifts? How can they tap into their guides? How can they tap into their intuition? What clairs do they have? What really resonates with them? I love not only helping people feel, leave them better than I found them, but also help them walk away with, information on how, oh my God, I can do this too. This magic is possible for me. And I'm not alone on this journey. I would say that's one of the scariest things. Of course, it's like a primal instinct, the fear of being abandoned. It's horrible, and feeling so alone. And especially even as intuitives, it can feel like such a solo journey. But then when you recognize, wow, I'm not alone, I'm never alone, I have all of these beautiful, benevolent beings guiding me. And even on the physical plane, I am so much more unlimited than I believe to be so, or what we've been told.
I love that so much. I think that that feeling of loneliness is so pervasive in our culture right now. So anything to like affirm the truth that you're never alone is such a beautiful service to offer to others. And it's even something I have to remind myself, like, I know I was joking earlier about the kitchen accidents I've had recently. And honestly, a couple other situations have come up where I've just been like, whoa, like I feel like I'm a mindful person, but what the heck is going on? And I've like really beat myself up in a way about being kind of absent-minded or not as mindful as I should be. And then I've realized I need to flip that around and be like, wow, I'm so supported and protected,
Mm,
because things could have gone really bad, but they didn't,
mhm.
Yes.
and that's something I need to remember instead of letting that spiral me into like, oh, I've got to carry this all by myself.
Yes. Mm.
Like baby situations show up to remind you of that too, right? Of,
For
you know,
sure.
not like I'm gonna purposely rip your hair out, but just like, hey, we're here.
And even just like, hey, like ground yourself. Hey, like bring awareness
Hmm.
to your body and your environment. Because yeah, I mean, I believe spirit has allows those things to happen, so then we can kind of snap back and be like, oh, you know what? I am really out of my body. I need to get back in.
Hmm.
Or I have not been aware of my surroundings. Like I need to bring awareness back. And yeah, and I think that's what's so important for people to know is that God, spirit, they don't make things happen. They allow things to happen. So all the bad that's in the world, it's not them being like, I'm going to create destruction and world hunger. It's like they allow things to happen. Like God is a benevolent, kind, unbelievably generous being, and same with spirit. And they're here to assist us. So it's just us being so aware of what, yeah, like I love what you said. Like that's even what I try to do is it was so lame. My mom, I now live in Orange County and I live really close to my family, which is incredible. And my mom is the best cook in the entire world. And my hands were full with all my stuff, and I had her soup in like a big mason jar. I get outside of my car and I drop it on the street. And I was like, this is so depressing. I'm like picking up a glass out of the street. I just have to look at my soup. I'm like, it's just gonna be there, like on the street. So probably someone thought I threw up. Like, it looks insane. And I'm like, you know what? This just reminds me, you know what? I've been moving really fast today. I have not really slowed down. I've been on my phone a lot. And you know what? It could be so much worse. I could have cut myself. This could have, hurt someone. And it's just a silly bowl of soup on the street. It's okay. So yeah, that was kind of a tangent, but I really resonate with that.
No, yeah, I love like looking at those things as reminders for us checking in and spirit allowing these things to happen so that we can kind of come back in touch with ourselves. And I mean, in a world where we are constantly moving fast, we are constantly on the go, we are constantly looking at the next thing, we miss life sometimes, I think. And we need those reminders and those things to happen. And I also agree with you about the allowing as well with the major things. And I hate, saying that we need to have the opposite, but our work is so much more powerful because we have to push through the negative things, the things that we are not desiring and seeing in the world. It's what's allowing more and more of us to wake up to the fact that things are not right. Things are not going in a way that we need it to go. And if we just kind of slowly pace along, we would not see these, maybe over time, maybe over a long time, we might see these changes, but things have to happen. Systems have to fall, things have to crumble, things need to be illuminated for us to make a decision and make a choice. And that doesn't necessarily, and I know Lauren and I talk about activism and different things all the time. That doesn't, always look like you going down the street and carrying signs and protesting. It can look a different way. It can look, I'm going to step more into my mediumship and my power to help these souls that feel a little lost, a little out of control, and give them a little more peace of mind so they can make the decisions in their lives and move forward and help the greater good and humanity. I'm going to be that support system for these individuals. And so we have to look at these things as opportunities sometimes, like even though they suck, we have to look at them as opportunities. There are things happening in my life that I'm like, you know what, it's cool, it's fine. I just need to shift and change a little bit, but it's an opportunity. Where were we stagnant? Where was I stagnant? What do I need to change? What do I need to look at? And I feel like the biggest theme that we've touched on in this whole conversation is really leading with curiosity, asking those questions, getting curious about how things make us feel and how it's landing for us and how things resonate. And I feel like if we go through life being a little more curious, that it'll open so many doors and so many opportunities for us.
Yes, absolutely. And even like something that a mantra I've been repeating a lot, and even like because it's true, is I am so taken care of. I am so taken care of. And when, and when I just actually started doing To Be Magnetic. I'm sure you guys heard of it, like Lacey Phillips. And I really like it for me because it allows me to kind of label the stages of where I'm at and not be like, where am I? I'm like, oh, I'm in a magic dark. Oh, like this is a test. And a test is always something that is going to expand us. And then there's always going to be something where it's like a reward when we pass the test. And at first I didn't like that phrasing. I was like, it's too masculine, but it's actually then perfect because God's source gives us multiple chances. God is not a he, they are a they. And God gives us multitude of chances and many, many tests for reasons. Then we have many, many opportunities to move through them and pass them. And even like, I'll tell this like really short story of how like I just moved into this apartment, and of course I'm being really careful about my budget. And long story short, I was dealing with like, furniture and like getting pieces, selling pieces. I dealt with a scammer and I lost thousands of dollars. And I felt so stupid. I'm like, I'm a psychic medium. How did I not catch this? And I'm like, you know what? I had at least 7 or 8 people in and out of my home. I had plumbers, I electricians, I had the gas guy come, and I had the Wi-Fi guy come, I had my mom come, the property manager come. I had like, it was just so insane. And I was also just really excited. I was like, oh, like, I'm gonna get this. I'm also gonna, get some extra money. I'm gonna like move some things around. Like, I really want to get settled in. I just wanted it to happen. And I was like, okay, well, clearly this was a really powerful, beautiful test. And this is not a mark on my intelligence, on my skills, on me as a medium, as me as a person. I was simply being kind and open and receptive and just trying to be flexible. And it's okay. Like, this happens to a lot of intelligent people. And I knew, I was like, I'm so taken care of. Like, Spirit and God would not put me in this magical place for me to fail. There's no way. And so, of course, it's been like a couple weeks, and last night I literally lost my mind. I got a check in the mail from my last apartment complex for my security deposit, and it was that exact amount of money plus then some. Absolutely insane. Like, honestly, it just makes me so grateful for all of these lessons and all of these moments where we believe that we're weak when it's really so the opposite. We are so taken care of, and every single adversity is for us to actually recognize I am not weak and I'm not alone, and no one is looking after me. It's absolutely quite the opposite, that we are so taken care of, we are so protected, we are so guided. And also, a major thing is we need to be very open and receptive to how that support comes. I think that is a huge thing that trips a lot of humans up. That's what trips us up. We expect something to come to us in a certain way. Like, oh, this support's going to come back to me in XYZ. This is definitely not what I expected. It was awesome. That was really, really great. And it just made me feel so supported and really, again, affirm it never ever gets old. The beauty of divine timing and the beauty and the creativity of Spirit and God, they're so much more creative than us. Of course, we're creative, and the creativity comes from a much higher source, but they are so much more creative. They have way better ideas than us. So that's what I always try to do, and not get like stubborn and like, no, this needs to happen this way. Like, no, they have a much better plan and much better idea on the timing.
Yes, I love that so much. And thank you for sharing that example. I think it's an example that we all can like put in our lives to see like how it plays out for us and how we are supported. I feel like we could chat all day, Alexandra, but I would love for our besties to know how they can reach out to you and find you and follow you and all the things.
Yes. Oh, ladies, thank you so much. I know I was just like a little lady messaging you guys. You guys are like, who is she? But I'm so happy you accepted and we connected. And probably one of my favorite things about really, stepping into becoming a psychic medium is the people I've met, the community, like so Michael Scott of me. But I just love the people I've connected with. Like, it's just unbelievable. So thank you so much for, accepting the invitation of connecting. And I'm excited to connect again on my podcast. And you guys can follow me on Instagram at @themodernmedium_ and find all of my services on my website, themodernmedium.co. And then again, I have a podcast, Embody Your Soul. You can find it wherever you love to listen. And right now I have a lovely, lovely group coaching program, Meet Your Spirit Guides. And it starts March 4th, and it is going to be absolutely magic. I also offer that as a private mentorship program, because I know there's some people who are more shy, who need more one-to-one connection. So again, both of those options are available, but I do have like a really wonderful, accessible price for this group coaching program. And I also do payment installments as well. And yeah, I have other services, private readings, Reiki healings, and I'm also based in Orange County, Newport Beach. So if you guys are in the area, I can see you in person. And again, thank you, ladies, so much for taking the time out of your day, for accepting the invitation. And I love that we got to connect.
Yeah, of course, besties, make sure to connect with Alexandra. And we have one last question for you. Would you be our bestie?
Yeah, who would say no, you know?
Like that would not be cool, would it? That would be like such a bummer ending to a podcast episode.
For all this, like, oh my God, ladies, of course. So like, what happens when we become besties? Like,
Yeah,
we're
we
already
just
there, so.
yeah, we're there, we connect and share and all the things, just like virtual besties. And we love everything that you've shared, Alexandra, and we're looking forward to your journey. And we'd love to know, besties, if you connect with Alexandra, how your experience was. We just love sharing and love spreading the light. So thank you, Alexandra, for reaching out. We've enjoyed this conversation, and I know that we will connect in the future.
thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us for this incredible episode. If you loved it, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and tell all your besties about us.
You can also connect with us on Instagram at yourspiritualbestiespodcast. And be sure to say hello and share your thoughts about the episode. Love you, bestie. Talk soon.